he has the people behind him. He really does. So, New Yorkers are feisty.
Yeah. And if he uses the DSA the way he should use them, is to basically do what Bernie refused to do. And that is to say, hey, listen, I may be one person, but you see those people out there?
Right.
If you don't let me do a few of those things that I campaigned on, they're going to have a problem with that, and it's going to get ugly. And the way that he handled Trump coming after him in particular was, this is what a person who truly understands what it means to be a leader, but also risk being a martyr, says when you're put in this position.
Today, Donald Trump said that I should be arrested. He said that I should be deported. He said that I should be denaturalized. And he said those things about me, someone who stands to be the first immigrant mayor of this city in generations, someone who would also be the first Muslim and the first South Asian mayor in this city's history. Less so because of who I am, because of where I come from, because of how I look or how I speak, and more so because he wants to distract from what I fight for. I fight for working people.
Right off the bat, that's everything. Instead of leaning into this whole thing about I'm a Muslim, I'm a socialist, I'm brown, it's I'm fighting for the least of these.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is not. Neither are the Democrats.
No, they're not.
And I pay close attention to his language. He's not a champion of the Democratic Party. It's obvious he's not. He understands the tool that it is to use it to get what he wants. But if he uses the Democratic Party in order to get a government-owned grocery store in each of the 5 boroughs, if he's able to get either reduced fare or maybe like a free, free commuter days of busing or using the subway in New York, if he's able to do something legitimately about rent control, then yeah, that's going to be a victory within itself.
Yes.
But the next step, before people get their panties in a freaking bunch about AOC, which they're already doing, about how now she's going to run for president or senate or some shit, it's like, no, you need to find the other Zohrans of this country to run for local office where the actual change happens. That's where it happens. It's not going to happen on Capitol Hill. It's going to happen in your own backyard. This is part of what that whole revolutionary change is going to look like. It's going to look like people like him. And it doesn't have to be him. It doesn't have to be a Muslim socialist Indian. That shit doesn't mean anything. What matters is, do we have actual leaders?
If only he were gay.
You almost had all the boxes checked, guys. You almost had them all checked. But with all kidding aside, the way he's speaking and the things that he is proposing, that'll sell in almost every single city in America. Period.
Yeah. It's the economy.
I fight for the very
It is the economy, stupid.
people that have been priced out of this city. And I fight for the same people that he said he was fighting for. This is the same president who ran on a campaign of cheaper groceries, who ran on a campaign about easing a suffocating cost of living crisis. And ultimately, it is easier for him to fan the flames of division than to acknowledge the ways in which he has betrayed those working class Americans.
Bravo,
He's
sir.
just exactly like he's
Bravo.
on. And I got to tell you, just honestly, he's balls. He's got balls. You know what I mean? It can't be a good position to be in, to be being sort of threatened by the president, even though we know he's a buffoon.
Well, I mean, this is what people wanted when this is why people wanted Sanders versus Trump race, right?
Yeah,
Like, because in their mind, you have the fake populist going up against a real populist,
exactly.
as opposed to a fake populist going up against the most establishment candidate in the history of candidates, making him look more legitimate than what he really is. That argumentation is kryptonite to Trump. There is nobody in the federal system that has that argumentation of any stature in any real terms. Meaning he's right in what he's saying. When Trump comes with this everyman shtick, this blue collar billionaire, and it's like, yeah, man, we're gonna increase jobs and we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And then he comes in as a tariff war. Okay, dude, nobody voted for that. You've increased everybody's expenses right off the bat. You've lowered the value of the dollar, which means everybody pays more. You're gonna provoke recession. There's that, which is effectively gonna be stagnation. Like, these are things that you're doing that are damaging the very people you came in saying that you were gonna do something positive about. Nobody voted for Trump to increase the military budget to $1 trillion when we're not even in any large-scale war. Or for that matter, as you point out, it is very difficult for the American public to countenance a genocide taking place with 80% of it being paid by us. And then reports come out of our mercenaries shooting, almost joy shooting, Palestinians, just hungry people because they can. Like, this is under Trump. This is not under anybody else. And so you have to take some responsibility for that. And so when you have him going after somebody who is a real populist and points out, my record is fighting for the working class. I am going to do what you said you were going to do and you did not do. That's strong. And that's I agree with you. That's strong anywhere. Like put that in Iowa, that would be a strong message. I agree. It's just very few people make that message in real terms.
One of our great supporters of our channel, Dave Hunter, who lives in New York City. Again, $1 for a lemon. A lemon should be a quarter, 30 cents. You know, these are just, that's just one particular item.
By the way, Ted Rall pays like $5,000 a month for rent. I couldn't believe it. And he's saying that's not abnormal in New York. That's insane. No.
And I'm in commercial real estate. I see it all the time. And I can tell you point blank, the reason why we have the problems that we have, greed. That's all it is. There's not a magic formula here. Why increase the rents $200 when you can increase it by $500? That's how they think about it. And let me tell you, I have met a lot. I know guys that are in the real estate that do well at it, and they're hanging out at Mar-a-Lago all the time.
Yeah.
It's a life. That's what it is. People get enamored.
Oh, I'm sorry, please.
No, I'm just saying that they get enamored with the life. And they do not care how many people have to suffer. And when you're in Eastern Europe or Western Asia, it's a different world. It's a different culture. People are individualistic, but they also care about the collective. They understand that collectively they have to stand up to their government and they have to stand up to corporate special interests. In the States, it's like we embrace it. We think that we want to aspire to be that, and we have it backwards. Well, as a result of what has happened over the past, I know everybody says it since Reagan, but honestly, this has been going on since Kennedy was assassinated. It's just a question of when it was going to accelerate to the point in which the people were finally going to stand up and say, I won't take it anymore. Perhaps after the passage of this bill, this big, beautiful bill, that will be the last straw. I don't know yet. It's way too early to tell. But I implore people to understand that the change we seek is going to come from assuming he's for real, and so far it looks like he is. It's going to be leaders like Zohran, who are not mincing words, who are not bought by, and this is why I can say, when people say, oh, he doesn't mince words, I need to know how he's funded. Then I can tell you whether his words have any levity or not. And in this case, they carry a lot of weight because he is doing.
Well, I mean, can I just say that I don't think that our solution lies in electoral politics, and it just doesn't at all. So to me, it's all kind of whether or not what it does politically, I don't know. What Trump's bill does is alienates, angers, creates unhoused people and more people that have nothing left to lose. And that is where the revolution happens. Exactly. And every single person that he kicks off of healthcare or whose child dies because of something that they can't get is one more Luigi Mangione. And eventually that's how this goes. Again, violence begets violence. When you take things away from people like healthcare, that's violence. So all of these people are now more and more people with nothing to lose. It's not going to happen because of an election. It's going to happen because people just start losing their shit.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I just don't know if the bill is the trigger. I don't think it is.
Oh,
I don't
no,
think
it's just
I
more
don't-
people. Right. No, it
No.
just keeps adding to, I just keep saying, like, fly, Icarus, fly, you know, because it's just adding to this pile that inevitably it's going to flip
I think it
because
has to
people
be
aren't having it.
bad enough where the energy to change it is less than energy to keep going.
Yeah.
One of the
Um,
first things that you're going to
and I don't
see
know
is
whether-
people are just going to stop paying their bills. That's going to be one of the things that's going to happen. People that are living in absolute shit conditions, they're just not going to pay. And what are you going to do? You're going to evict 10 million people from their homes? Something's going to give. And as we saw, it's the rule of 3%. If it only took 3% of the Nazi party to take over the state of the country of Germany, well, then it's probably 3% of the American population, about 10 million people, that it's going to take in order to get them to really make a substantial change. And I think that that's where we're headed. One can hope.
Yeah,
I hope.
I mean, because I don't like, we have a different philosophy here in this country that, you know, like, yeah, BLM will go out, but BLM will go out because of, you know, this kind of, it would get co-opted by a Democratic Party, which would defend it and would say, you know, Joe Biden would say, yeah, I know you've burned down police stations, but that's okay. Whereas when the people were going out for Israel, if you remember, they weren't making that argument, and those people weren't burning down anything. It was like, oh my God, Jewish students are under attack. And it's like, dude, can you pay attention to the genocide that we're pointing to? You didn't get that level of political support. The immigration thing, again, you had Democrats, because this is a Democrat issue. If you notice, though, all of these issues eschew any notion of financial, you know, conduct. Meaning, yes, we will support the BLM thing because it's racial, that's identity. And we'll support the immigration thing, that's racial, that's identity. But if you get to the means of production, the real brass tacks of, do I have enough money to pay for my house? Do I have enough money to pay for my kid? Do I have money to pay for my healthcare? Do I have money to live intact? Am I being, let's say, raped by a corporate system and a political system that seems to cater directly to people with means as opposed to, you know, the individual or the country? Okay, they don't want to touch that. Like that is a 10-foot pole issue for both political parties. So I agree with you that some spark will have to hit where that becomes an issue. Americans don't, and I know I'm saying this, and I don't mean to be brutal about it. If this was France, they would have burned the shit down to the ground.
Yes.
They would have, like, they spent, what, 2 years for the Yellow Vest movement? And the government was giving them stuff to try to bring the public around, say, hey, okay, we gave you this, we gave you that, we gave you that. We need you to, you know, stop doing this. Basically, they were trying to drain support because you had so many people in the streets and supporting it, like 70-80% of the population backing them in that. Meaning you would get protests like that in certain countries that have this kind of, I don't know, revolutionary fervor, this sense of self that is like, I shouldn't be below this point. But Americans, in our minds, it's, well, those are handouts.
I think that's what's shifting. But I think that's what's shifting. And I think that part of what's pushing that, and even though a lot of these people might have different motives than me, the people that are the America first. So when you now see people that are traditionally the right people, not correct people, the right people, being upset about our money and our resources being sent to Israel instead of being here, now you've angered the other side in a way that you haven't really angered them before. And so now, even though we wouldn't agree with them on a ton of stuff, they realize that we're fighting the same enemy. So this is where I think there's an opportunity for this to be a nonpartisan situation, because you have really angered a lot of the libertarian right, you know, even a lot of the MAGA people that were MAGA that are not with it anymore. Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, I just think it's a bigger range of people that are just that are waking up. And I think that only serves to help us.
I hope so.
Not just in this city, but across this country. And the ways in which he continues to betray them. Because we know that he would rather speak about me than speak about the legislation that he is shepherding through Washington, D.C. Legislation that will quite literally take health care away from Americans, legislation that will steal food from the hungry, legislation that looks to build upon one of the largest transfers of wealth we've seen in recent history in his first administration and do it once again for the very Americans who already have enough. We should be fighting for those that do not have what they need to live a dignified life. That is what I will do, and I am thankful to have the protection and to have the support of so many New Yorkers who have stood up and said how unacceptable this is, including our governor, including members of the labor movement. And ultimately, what I fear for is that if this is what Donald Trump and his administration feel comfortable about saying about the Democratic nominee for the mayor of New York City, imagine what they feel comfortable saying and doing about immigrants whose names they don't even know.
See, that's just like, that's a mic drop right there. And he handled that so well. He didn't like, he nailed it.
Trump is going to provoke a civil war. Trump is going to provoke a civil war. Like, you can't, it is very weird for a president who doesn't have arresting abilities, by the way, to be like, yeah, we're going to get rid of the guy's citizenship and we're going to kick him out the country. Okay, what is this crime? I just don't like him. And then he looks at Puff Daddy, it's like, yeah, I think I might give Puff Daddy a pardon. It's like, what? What are you doing? Like, that's so bizarre for an office holder to do that. I'm going to send people to El Salvador. And then to take the next step of saying, I'm going to strip Americans of citizenship and find and put them in different cages and prisons and whatnot. That is so beyond the pale that is going to get a reaction. And I suspect what happened in California was just the first reaction if he keeps going down that pathway. We'll see. I could be wrong. I mean, I think the Civil War thing is often overblown when people say it. But the notion that you're going after now political figures that you don't particularly like because you don't just like them is outrageous. Supreme Court has given Donald Trump powers of a king. And I don't get the sense that the lemmings in Congress are going to do or say anything about, like, this is not Richard Nixon, right? This is not where Richard Nixon gets impeached. And the Republicans tell Nixon, you will get convicted in the Senate. We will convict you. This is not the loyal opposition. These people are toadies. They're lemmings. So we'll see.